Welcome back to the Profitable Mindset Podcast. Today we're tackling a question that I bet a lot of you have thought about, especially if you're like me working towards financial independence. Is work like the whole point of life? I mean, we put so much into our careers, chasing success and all that, but is there, something more?
Yeah, it's a really relevant question, especially now. So many people are looking for different ways to achieve financial freedom.
Totally. And we're constantly told to find our passion, hustle 24/7, build empires. But what if we just zoomed out for a sec? What if we thought about what work even is, how it's changed over time?
Well, think about our ancient ancestors. Work wasn't about dream jobs or promotions. It was just survival, right?
Yeah.
Food, shelter, staying safe. That was it.
No fancy resumes back then.
Yeah.
Just hunter-gatherers seeking opportunity.
Right. But as societies evolved, so did work. The agricultural revolution came along and people started specializing. Some farmed, some made tools. That's kind of when we see this link between work and social status starting to appear.
So that's when the comparisons began. His farm is bigger and his tools are so shiny.
It's human nature, I guess, to compare ourselves, right? But the interesting thing is how work got tied to who we are. Fast forward to the Industrial Revolution, factories and mass production take over. Suddenly, work isn't so much about creating something yourself, it's more like being a small part in a huge machine.
That's where that 9-to-5 grind, that punch the clock feeling really takes hold, right?
Exactly. Work stopped being only about surviving. It became about earning a wage, trading your time for money, often in a system that felt impersonal,
And then the 20th century arrives and things get even more complicated. Now work is about ambition, success in this capitalist world. Climbing the ladder, getting rich, reaching a certain status.
And with technology and, globalization, that pressure's just gotten worse. We're always connected, bombarded with messages about achievement. It's easy to lose track of what actually matters.
It's like we're all slaves to the hustle, always wanting more, never feeling like it's enough. And I think that's where a lot of traders and investors find themselves kind of stuck. They come to the markets looking to escape the 9-to-5, but then they can end up trading one kind of work for another.
The irony, right? Seeking freedom, but they're chained to their screens, always chasing the next trade, always feeling like they need to be on.
And that brings us to, I think, a major myth. That the more you work, the more successful you'll be. We're taught that the more we grind, the more we achieve. But is that really true, especially in the world of trading?
It's a dangerous idea, especially for traders. Success in the markets isn't about staring at charts for hours on end, right? It's about strategy, discipline, making good decisions.
So it's not how much you do, but how well you do it.
Exactly. Imagine two traders. One glued to the screen 12 hours a day, chasing every little market move. The other maybe works half that, but they're focused, strategic, have a plan. Who do you think is going to be more successful consistently?
The second one, for sure. It's not about being busy. It's about being effective.
Totally. And that applies everywhere, not just trading. Building a business, writing, learning anything focused effort is always better than mindless grinding.
That's a powerful idea. It challenges us to rethink what productivity means, to break out of that always-on mindset.
And this shift in thinking is so important for anyone wanting real freedom. Because when you're trapped in that constant hustle, you're not just hurting yourself, you're probably holding yourself back.
Like trying to run a marathon or a sprint. You might have a burst of energy, but you'll burn out way before the finish line. So if it's not about the hustle, how should we be approaching work? Especially if we're aiming for that financial independence.
The key is to change how we think about work. We need to stop seeing it as something we have to do. See it as a tool, a way to get what you want.
I like that work as a tool, not the final destination. But how do we actually do that?
It starts with knowing what you're working towards. What are your goals? Is it financial security, freedom with your time, the ability to pursue passions, or a mix of everything?
So it's about having that clear vision and then using work to get you there.
Exactly. And when you're clear about that, work becomes less of a chore, It's like building a bridge to your dreams. It's about choices that match your values, your long-term goals, not just chasing the next paycheck or the next market high.
It makes sense because when you know your why, work has more meaning. It's not just a job anymore. It's about contributing to something bigger.
Exactly. And that sense of purpose is what keeps us motivated, helps us face challenges. It keeps us going when things get tough because we know our efforts are going towards something that really matters.
Which brings us to another big question. Should work be about passion or is it just a paycheck? Can we really do what we love? and it'll never feel like work?
Yeah.
Or is that just a nice idea that sets us up for disappointment?
It's a question everyone asks, right? And while finding work you're passionate about is awesome, it's got to be balanced with being realistic, especially in a field like trading.
So we need to manage expectations a bit, not get too caught up in the hype of follow your passion.
Exactly. Passion is a great motivator, but it needs strategy, discipline, and a willingness to deal with challenges. Trading, like anything, has good times and bad times. There will be losses. And if passion is your only driving force, it might not be enough to get you through those rough patches.
On the other hand, what happens when work is just tea about the paycheck? No real sense of purpose or enjoyment.
That can be just as bad, don't you think? You might be financially successful, but it can lead to burnout, resentment, and for traders, that lack of connection can actually hurt their performance.
Because trading requires a certain level of emotional intelligence, right? If you're not engaged, it'll show up in your decisions.
Totally. To really succeed in trading, you need a balance. You need the passion, but also the grounded realism, the strategic thinking to handle the market's ups and downs.
So it's not an either-or thing. It's about finding a way to have both passion and practicality.
Exactly. And that's where purpose is crucial. Purpose gives work meaning that goes beyond just money, It's about connecting what you do to something bigger.
So for a trader, their purpose might be building financial security for their family so they can spend more time together. Or maybe it's funding their dream of starting a nonprofit, using their profits to make a difference.
Exactly. That purpose keeps them going. Even when the markets are crazy or they hit a setback, it helps them stay focused on the bigger picture, make choices that fit their values, and reach a kind of success that's profitable and fulfilling.
This all ties back to something we talk about a lot on the show. Time is the real wealth, not money. We hear that a lot in personal finance, but what does it actually mean, especially for traders and investors who are so focused on those financial gains?
It's a concept that kind of goes against how a lot of us have been taught to think about success. We're used to trading time for money, work more hours, earn a bigger paycheck. But what if we flipped that, started seeing time as the valuable asset? It's the one thing you can never get back.
Right. Unlike money, you can't earn more time. You can't invest it and watch it grow. Once it's gone, it's gone. And that's a powerful thought, isn't it?
It is. That's why passive income is so attractive to traders and investors. It's about setting up systems that make money without you constantly needing to work for it.
Like dividend stocks, rental properties, online businesses, things that bring in cash flow without you actively working for every single dollar.
Right. But here's the thing. Even with passive income, it's easy to fall back into that time for money trap.
I see that. Especially early on when you're building those passive income streams, it can feel like you're working harder than ever.
Absolutely. For a lot of traders, the initial pull is that active trading, chasing big wins, trying to make a ton of money super fast. But that can become another form of trading time for money. Got to be careful.
It's like you're still on that hamster wheel, just running a little faster.
Exactly. The shift is to move away from those quick wins. Focus on building sustainable systems that make money without you constantly watching them. It's about redefining what being productive means. Not about hours, but how effective your efforts are, the results you get.
Working smarter, not harder. It's about using your skills and knowledge to build a system that works for you, not the other way around, which is really what financial freedom is all about, right?
Absolutely. It's about having the time and resources to design a life that matches your values, your passions, your own idea of what success is. And in the next part of our conversation, we'll dive deeper into some of the challenges and opportunities that come with actually reaching that freedom. Welcome back to the Profitable Mindset Podcast. We've been talking about, what work even means, the whole passive income thing, how important it is to tie what we do to a bigger purpose. But reaching financial independence, it doesn't always mean you're suddenly happy, you know what I mean? There's this weird thing that happens sometimes when people get to that point.
You mean like when that freedom they work so hard for, it doesn't feel as freeing as they thought it would? Kind of like they're disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. I call it the freedom paradox. See, getting to financial independence, it's so goal-oriented, you're so focused on reaching that financial destination that when people finally get there, they can feel lost.
It's like they've been climbing this huge mountain for years, finally get to the top, and then they're like, wait, now what? They got the what, but the why kind of got lost along the way.
That's a great way to put it. And there are a few reasons why this happens. First, there's often this fear of losing that new independence. They worked so hard to get away from the 9-to-5. The thought of going back to that life is scary.
So instead of chilling and enjoying their freedom, they end up working even harder to protect it, like they've traded one kind of trap for another.
It happens a lot. They might constantly be checking their investments, worrying about every little market move, or feeling like they have to keep earning even though they don't really need to. Being afraid to lose their freedom, it becomes a new kind of prison.
And there's that pressure, to keep up a certain image.
Society is always saying wealth equals success. So people who've reached financial independence, they might feel like they need to constantly prove themselves. Like they're still winning, even though the game's changed.
For sure. They might feel like they got to keep up a certain lifestyle and impress people, prove that they've made it. But that kind of external validation, it's empty. It never ends. You're always chasing approval, and it just leads to feeling unsatisfied.
It's like they're on a treadmill, constantly trying to get that next bit of validation, but never really feeling happy.
Perfect way to describe it. And then maybe the weirdest challenge of all is this potential to feel like there's no purpose. It sounds strange, right? You achieve the freedom you've been working for, and then you feel empty.
Ironic, right? But I've talked to a lot of people who've gone through this. It's like their job, their career, it was such a big part of who they were that when it's gone, it leaves this huge hole. Exactly. Work, for many people, it gave them structure, a purpose, a feeling of contributing to something. When that's gone, it can lead to feeling lost, unsure what to do, like you're suddenly adrift, no idea where to go.
So how do we deal with this freedom paradox? How do you make sure financial independence actually leads to a life of joy and, purpose?
It begins with just being aware of it, realizing that these are normal challenges. You're not the only one feeling this way. Once you see that, you can start dealing with the root of the problem, like shining light on what you're afraid of, bringing those uncertainties out in the open so you can look at them and start figuring them out.
So it's about being honest with yourself about what you're feeling and why. Then what? What do you do next?
From there, it's about taking action. Start by figuring out what enough means to you. How much financial security do you need to live comfortably, pursue your passions, without stressing about money all the time? It's about drawing those lines, setting those financial boundaries, so you're not always chasing more or comparing yourself to others.
It's about escaping that scarcity mindset, the one that says you'll never have enough, and changing it to an abundance mindset, one that lets you be grateful for what you do have and make conscious choices about how you use what you've got.
Exactly. And when you have that sense of enough, you can shift your focus. Instead of always trying to get more, you focus on how to enjoy what you have, what makes you happy, what things make you feel truly alive, what kind of impact do you want to have. It's about finding your passions again, trying new things, and connecting to something bigger than yourself.
So we're talking about redefining what success is. It goes beyond just money. It's about living a life that's full of experiences, relationships, and making a difference. Finding that balance between purpose, passion, and being financially secure.
You got it. And remember, freedom isn't about having nothing to do. It's about having the choice to do what you want with your time and energy. It's about building a life that reflects who you are, what you want, and your own definition of what it means to truly thrive.
And that brings us to something that's, kind of a big deal in the trading world, but it's important everywhere else too.
Risk.
Risk. People often see it as something to avoid, something dangerous. But honestly, risk is just the price you pay for opportunity.
I like that. Because if we don't take risks, we're limiting ourselves. We can't grow, we can't learn new things, we can't experience life fully.
Exactly. Whether it's a trade, starting a business, even just asking someone out, everything we do has some risk. There's always that chance things won't go as planned, that we might fail. But if we're too afraid to take A and Y risks, we miss out on the good stuff too, the rewards, the adventures, creating something truly meaningful.
There's that saying, the biggest risk is not taking any risks at all. If we always play it safe, we might miss amazing opportunities.
Exactly. And that's where that trader mindset can be helpful. Traders get that risk as part of the game. They're always evaluating risk, comparing potential rewards to potential losses, making smart decisions based on what they know. So how can we use those same ideas in our lives outside of trading? How do we get that trader mindset when it comes to taking risks in other areas?
Well, first, you got to understand that risk is different for everyone. What seems risky to one person might be exciting or even boring to someone else. How we see risk depends on what we've been through, what we believe, how much risk we're comfortable with.
So step one is figuring out how we feel about risk. What makes us scared to step out of our comfort zone?
Right. Once you know that, you can start breaking down those limiting beliefs and get better at taking risks. We can start seeing risk not as a threat, but as a chance to grow, to learn, to expand our horizons.
That's a big change in perspective. Because when we change how we think about risk, so many more possibilities open up. We're more willing to try new things, to embrace the unknown, and get excited about what we might discover.
Exactly. And being open to uncertainty, that's what lets us break free from our comfort zones and build a life that's really something special.
Which brings us to something we see a lot these days: hustle culture.
Oh yeah, hustle culture. Always busy, always working, always got to be doing more.
It's exhausting. It's like we're on this treadmill that never stops, trying to achieve, to produce, to prove ourselves. And I think it's really easy for traders and investors to fall into that, especially with the markets always being open.
Totally. With technology everywhere, we're always connected, always bombarded with information. It's easy to feel like we need to be on all the time, chasing the next trade, the next win.
But like we've been saying, more effort doesn't always mean better results. It often leads to burning out, making bad choices, and having a worse quality of life.
Right. Hustle culture pushes this crazy pace, sacrificing your health, relationships, even your long-term success, all for those quick wins, like trying to squeeze every last drop out of an orange. You get a little juice, but you're left with nothing but a dry peel.
So how do we get out of that hustle mindset, but still be ambitious, still reach our goals? How do we balance striving for success with taking care of ourselves?
It starts with recognizing the trap. See the messages we're getting from society, from social media, even from other traders. Question that idea that you have to be hustling all the time to be successful.
It's about giving yourself permission to slow down, to rest, to put your well-being first without feeling bad about it. It's realizing that your worth isn't tied to how much you do. You have value just because you are you.
Exactly. And then it's about setting boundaries. What are your non-negotiables? The things that really matter to you, like family, your health, hobbies you enjoy. Those are the things you schedule first, the things you protect from work and the markets.
It's about moving away from that always-on mindset and being more intentional about your work and your life, making deliberate choices about how you spend your time, energy, and attention.
Exactly. And that intentionality, it carries over into how we see money itself.
Okay, let's talk about money. In the trading world especially, it's seen as the ultimate measure of success. But is that all there is to it? Is money really the key to happiness?
That's a question we all have to figure out. Money, it can be a powerful tool, but it can also be a trap. It gives you security, freedom, opportunities, but it can easily turn into an obsession where you're always chasing more, never feeling satisfied.
It's like they say money often costs too much. Because in trying to get rich, we might sacrifice things that matter more. Our health, our relationships, our values, the stuff that really makes life good.
Exactly. And for traders and investors who are always dealing with money, it's extra important to be aware of this trap, to understand that money is a tool, not the end goal.
So how do we avoid falling into that trap?
Yeah.
How do we change how we think about money so that IT works for US, not the other way around?
Well, you start by making sure your financial goals match your values and your purpose. Ask yourself, what do I want this money for? What do I want to achieve with it? How can I use it to make things better for myself and for others? When your purpose is clear, your money choices become more intentional, You're not just driven by fear or feeling like you don't have enough.
It's about switching from I need more to I have enough to build the life I want. It's about appreciating what you have and recognizing that money can be a powerful tool for creating positive change.
Exactly. And that's how you build a healthier relationship with money, one that's based on gratitude, on being generous, on truly understanding what money is, FOR.
Which leads us to something else that's often forgotten in the pursuit of success: taking care of our relationships.
Relationships, the foundation of a really good life.
We all know that saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But how important are relationships for traders and investors? I mean, they spend so much time alone looking at charts and planning their next moves.
They're essential, but it's easy to forget about them, especially in fields like trading, where you can get isolated, focused only on the markets.
I can see that. You're in your own little world, staring at screens, and it's easy to forget that we're social creatures. We need connection.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Strong relationships aren't just good for our personal lives. They actually help us succeed professionally. They make us feel better overall. They give us support, keep us accountable, and create a sense of balance. That helps us deal with life's ups and downs.
So how do strong relationships actually help traders and investors? How do they make a real difference in the markets?
Well, for one, they give you people to talk to bounce ideas off of, to get advice from, and honest feedback. That's super valuable when you're making big decisions about trades, business ventures, even personal stuff.
It's like having a team of advisors who want you to succeed, people who can offer different perspectives.
Exactly. And then there's accountability. When you have people who know your goals and support you, you're more likely to stay focused and motivated. They help you stay on track.
Like having a workout buddy who pushes you to go to the gym, even when you don't feel like it.
Exactly. But most importantly, strong relationships make you feel like you belong, like you're connected. They remind you that you're not alone. You have people who care about you, people to laugh with, to share your wins and losses with, people who make life worth living.
So it's about having a life that's full, both in your career and in your personal life. Realizing that true success isn't just about money, but about all those experiences, those relationships, and the contributions you make to the world.
Perfectly put. And for traders who are often so focused on money, it's crucial to remember, money is just a way to get what you want. The real goal is to live a good life, and a big part of that comes from having strong relationships.
So how do we invest in our relationships? What can we do to make those connections stronger, especially when we're busy with work and the markets? How do we keep them from getting lost in the everyday chaos?
You got to make time. Sounds easy, but it's usually the hardest part. We get so caught up in our routines, our to-do lists, that we forget to schedule time for the people we care about most. We treat them like an afterthought, something to squeeze in if we have a minute instead of a priority.
It's just like anything else that's important. Your health, your money, your career. If you don't make time for it, it's going to suffer. Relationships are no different. You have to nurture them, give them attention.
Absolutely. So put those date nights, those family dinners, those phone calls with friends right on your calendar. And when you are with them, be present. Put the phone away, close the laptop, actually listen, actually connect.
Be there in body and in mind. Put the distractions aside and really pay attention to them. Show them that they matter, that they're worth your time.
That's it, because quality time, that's what relationships thrive on. That's how you build trust, closeness, that feeling of being connected. And when you make that effort, when you make your relationships a priority, you create this amazing support system. It's full of love, and it helps you get through anything life throws at you.
And that leads us to another important idea we talk about a lot: building a legacy. We've talked about the financial kind, but what about a legacy that's bigger than just the numbers? What about creating something that makes a real difference, something that lasts even after we're gone?
That's a powerful question, and it becomes more and more important as we get older, when we've reached some level of success and we start thinking about what we want to leave behind. What mark do we want to make on the world?
It's about shifting from what's in it for me to how can I make a difference? It's realizing that our lives are about more than just what we achieve personally. We can make a real impact, and what we do can have effects that reach far beyond our own little circle.
Beautifully said. And for traders and investors who are often successful financially, there are so many ways to give back. It could be through philanthropy, supporting causes they care about, or investing in businesses that are making a positive difference.
Or it could be through mentoring, sharing what they've learned to help others who are just starting out. It could be giving back to their community, volunteering their time or money to organizations that are doing good work. It could be about using their influence to raise awareness about important issues, to push for change, to inspire others to get involved.
Absolutely, because legacy isn't just about money, it's about the values you live by, the impact you make, how you inspire others. It's about living a life that matches your purpose, your passions, and your desire to leave the world a little better than you found it.
And that brings us back to the idea of time being the real wealth.
Time, the most precious thing we have and something you can never get more of.
We talked about it earlier in terms of passive income and freedom, but how does it fit into this idea of building a legacy? How can we use our time wisely to create a legacy that matters, one that lasts beyond our own lifetimes?
It starts with realizing that our time is limited. We all have a set number of days, hours, minutes to make our mark on the world. And when you really grasp that, it can be a little scary, but also really powerful. It can push you to live more intentionally, to make choices that reflect your values, and to focus on what really matters.
It's about changing that mindset of, I do have enough time to build the life I want and make a difference, It's realizing we have the power to choose how we spend our time, and those choices shape our legacy.
Exactly. And when you make that shift, when you start seeing time as this incredibly valuable gift, you start making different choices. You put your relationships first, you follow your passions, you contribute to things you believe in, you live more fully, more intentionally in a way that truly aligns with what you value most.
And that is how we create a legacy that matters. Not just about what we achieve personally, but about the good we do in the world.
Absolutely. Because true wealth, it's not measured in money, but in the richness of our experiences, our connections with others, and what we contribute to the world.
And that brings us to the final piece. How do we actually change what success means beyond just money and achievements?
Yeah.
How do we create our own definition of success, one that's genuine, fulfilling, and really reflects what we want?
Welcome back to the Profitable Mindset podcast. We've really been diving deep today, talking about, what work is, the ups and downs of financial freedom, the importance of risk, relationships, building a legacy that goes beyond just us.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, from how work has changed over time to the psychology of actually achieving financial independence. It's been fascinating to explore how all this relates to, the human experience. Especially in context of wealth, purpose, and meaning.
It really has. And, as we wrap up, there's this one, I think, crucial element we should touch on, something that connects everything we've talked about. It's kind of like the compass that points us towards that truly fulfilling life.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's this missing piece?
It's the why behind everything we do, the thing that drives our passions, gives our actions meaning, and ultimately determines whether we feel that deep sense of satisfaction or, that feeling that something's missing. I'm talking about purpose.
Purpose. That thing everyone's searching for, but so few seem to actually find. It's what gives our lives direction, significance, makes it all feel worthwhile.
Exactly. Because if we don't have a clear purpose, what are we really working towards? Just a fatter bank account, a nicer car? Is it just this endless chase for more that never really fills that void?
And I think that's where a lot of traders and investors get tripped up, especially those who are really motivated by freedom and independence. They come to the markets to break free from that traditional job, but then they can get trapped in a different way by their own ambition, by chasing profits, by always wanting more.
Yeah, it's a sneaky trap. The market is always moving, always tempting you with the possibility of making more money, whispering just one more trade. It can take over your life and push aside the things that bring real lasting joy.
It's like chasing a high, that feeling you get from winning. But it fades so fast, and then you're right back at it, looking for the next thrill, the next thing to make you feel successful.
And while we're doing that, we forget about what truly matters. Our relationships, our health, our passions, contributing to something bigger than ourselves. We sacrifice now for the promise of happiness later, but that happiness, it often never comes.
So how do we escape that cycle? How do we untangle ourselves from all that ambition and find that sense of purpose that's about more than just money?
It starts with looking inward. You got to quiet all that outside noise and listen to what your heart is saying. Ask yourself, what do I value? What are my passions? What kind of mark do I want to leave on the world? What legacy do I want to create? Those questions, they seem simple, but they can really help you understand yourself and lead you towards a life with more purpose and meaning.
It's about connecting with that inner voice, the one that knows what really matters. It's about getting back to your true self, the one you were before society told you who you should be.
Exactly. And once you've tapped into that, you can start to live a life that's aligned with that purpose. Your financial goals become a tool to get what you want, not the goal itself. Your work becomes an expression of what you believe in, a way to make a positive difference, something that brings you joy.
So for a trader, maybe their purpose is to use their money to support something they care about, funding research, building schools, helping the environment.
Exactly. Or maybe it's starting a business that reflects their values, one that's ethical, sustainable, treats its employees well. It could be mentoring new traders, sharing what they've learned to help others reach their goals. Or maybe it's using their influence to speed up for important causes, to push for change, to inspire others to take action.
There are so many ways to do it. Because purpose isn't just about those big, grand gestures. It's in the everyday things, those small acts of kindness, how we treat the people we care about, how we contribute to our communities.
Exactly. Purpose is about making sure your actions match your values, no matter how big or small those actions are. It's about living a life that feels real and meaningful, a life that reflects who you truly are and what you care about.
And when you do that, when you bring purpose into your life, work becomes something completely different. It's not just a way to make money, it's a way to express yourself, contribute to something bigger, and find that deep satisfaction.
I couldn't have said it better myself. When we align our work, our wealth, and our purpose, we create a life that's not just successful. It's extraordinary. And that's what I hope our listeners take away from this. It's not about giving up on your ambitions or financial goals. It's about expanding what success even means and creating a life that's rich in purpose, passion, joy, and those deep connections that make life worth living.
That's a great way to end our conversation today. Thank you for joining us on the Profitable Mindset podcast. We hope this has given you some insights into how work, wealth, and purpose are all connected, and that you're feeling inspired to build a life that's not just profitable, but truly meaningful and fulfilling.